welcome back to Football Picks here on TalkingSports.tv. I'm Marty York. Handsome Howard came in studio with me here in Toronto. Uncle Ben of UncleBen'sFootball.com at one of his homes in San Diego. His other home happens to be in Toronto. And in Toronto this weekend, there is an NFL game. It's been like this once a year for the past 4 years or so when the Buffalo Bills have one of their home games in Toronto at what was previously known as the Sky Dome. I don't want to give the company that owns that particular center any free advertising at this point. They get enough. They dominate. They monopolize in Toronto. So no freebies for that particular company that owns the Sky Dome. But they made a deal some time ago to have Buffalo Bills games in Toronto once in a while. Some of the players don't get very excited about that game. They don't consider it a home game. And this year, Howard, I'd say that there's been very little interest or excitement in Toronto about the Atlanta Falcons coming to Buffalo, to Toronto, I should say, to face Buffalo.
Yeah, it's interesting because, at the beginning of the season, probably promoters were saying, finally, we've got a game this year where we can promote the team coming in. I mean, the Atlanta Falcons coming off last year's season, everybody was projecting them to be a contender again this year, and they've really fallen by the wayside. So this game is to me a meaningless game. It's a flop game. I don't know how many people are going to be in this. Are you going to the game, Marty?
I'm not. Are you?
Yeah, like who has interest to go to that game? It doesn't excite me. Now, even the Buffalo players have said that it's almost like a nuisance them coming to Toronto.
Yep.
It's something that they don't enjoy. They've come publicly out and said that it doesn't feel like a home game to them, and their record proves that. They're 1-4 at the Rogers Center since they've started playing these games. So, I mean, based on that knowledge, and you've got the Atlanta Falcons who, at any time can put up some type of a game, especially against a team like the Buffalo Bills. I like the Falcons to win this game on Sunday. I think that...
Okay, not so fast, because Uncle Ben, who, of course, studies these things very carefully, as you do, Howard,
he likes Bills.
He likes the Bills. And the Bills, by the way, folks, just to clarify, are favored by 3 points in this game. Now, Ben, your thoughts?
That's right, Marty. The Bills are favored for the first time this season, gentlemen, as a matter of fact, and they're favored for a reason. You know why? Because they're going to win the ball game. I just think the Bills are coming off a bye week. It gives them a chance to heal. They had a lot of key players, like their running backs, Jackson and Spiller, were injured. Their receivers have been banged up. It gives them a chance to get healthy last week, come up here in Toronto. I know they're not excited about playing up here, but the Atlanta Falcons can't be excited about anything the way I see it. This is the most disappointing team in the league, I think, more than the Houston Texans. These teams are going completely in the opposite directions. The Buffalo Bills have played a lot of close games. They've only been blown out once this year down in New Orleans, but a lot of people have been getting blown out down there. They lost to New England at home, close game, playoff team. They lost to the Bengals in overtime at home, playoff team. I see this team playing very tight ball. They're excited. They're going in the right direction, I think. Doug Marrone has his team playing enthusiastic football. They believe they can win. The Atlanta Falcons right now, they're just playing out the string, guys, the way I see it. I like the Bills this week to beat the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta, if you don't think the Bills are interested in coming up here, how do you think Atlanta feels coming up here? Okay, it's going to be they're going to be not a happy bunch when they get off the plane, I think, tonight, and it's like 20 degrees in Toronto. They're not going to like it too much. The Bills love that weather, although they're playing indoors, I know, but it's still going to chill them to the bone. I still think that the Bills are going to get the job done this week. It's an opportunity for them to move forward with their program. Doug Marrone's got it going. I think E.J. Emanuel has a fun time with his buddies up north of the border this week. They get the victory in the blank Sky Dome, whatever you want to call it, this week against the Atlanta Falcons. I like the Buffalo Bills to finally win one in Toronto.
Yes, I think you're quite right, Ben, when you say that the Bills and the Falcons are teams going in opposite directions. And unusually this week, both of our handicappers are going in different directions. Howard and Ben not seeing eye to eye on every game. In fact, very few games so far. But let's see what happens on this game right now. We mentioned earlier in the program that the Denver Broncos have to go into Kansas City. That game is in Kansas City, right? Let's make sure. Yes. They go into Kansas City to face the Chiefs. This isn't a bad matchup either of two pretty good teams. The Broncos are 5.5-point favorites with the line makers, obviously expecting Peyton Manning to bounce back after that second half lemon. Actually, as you mentioned, Howard, after a full game lemon, he really didn't do much in the first half either against New England. But folks are, I think, expecting the Broncos to rebound from that game. Again, the Broncos are 5.5-point favorites. Ben, what do you see happening in this game?
Well, I've been talking about this for the last few weeks. 2 weeks ago, I had Denver against Kansas City. Chiefs lost. Last week, we had San Diego against Kansas City. Chiefs lost. And this week, I'm going against Kansas City again. I just think this team has been doing it with smoke and mirrors all season long. They won some games they shouldn't have won. I think it's going to come back to haunt them down the stretch. Denver's an angry ball club, like you guys just mentioned. They looked horrible last week, even though they were winning 24-0. They really didn't look great. That was the benefit of a bunch of Patriot mistakes, turnovers, and just lackluster play out of the gate last week. Denver 6-1 straight up, 6-0-1 against the spread versus they've beaten the Chiefs 3 times, so there's 6-0-1 against the spread against teams they've beaten 3 times in a row. And that bodes well for them here. And get this, guys, Andy Reid has struggled mightily of late when looking to avenge a loss versus a 600 or greater opponent, going 1-11 against the spread his last 12 tries. Horrible. This coach does not get it done. When he loses his first of 2 in division play, when he was at Philadelphia, like I said, 1-11 against the spread. Denver's in a horrible mood. I just think the Broncos need this game if they want to stay, because they have to stay ahead of New England now, you see, Denver. Never mind Kansas City, because they lost to New England last week. And I just think the Denver Broncos are going to win this game in Kansas City. Winners cover 85%. I'd like the Broncos to take the Chiefs down as the Chiefs continue their backslide, losing 3 straight games.
Handsome, the Broncos are getting their coach back for this game. John Fox returns after having heart valve surgery. Jack Del Rio will return to his role as defensive coordinator. Does that make any difference whatsoever in this game, Denver being favored by 5.5 in Kansas City?
I don't think it can hurt. I mean, obviously you have your coach back that they've done very, very well with, and having him back there on the sidelines and picking up on little things is definitely going to help. Is going to help Denver in the whole. The interesting thing about this game to me is the actual spread. I mean, the Nevada bookmakers the whole season have not really been giving Kansas City a lot of credit. There were times when they were undefeated and they were dogs or slight favorites at home, right? By them making Denver 5.5 points in Kansas City, tells me right there that Denver's going to come out there and beat the living heck out of KC. I think Ben is absolutely right. KC is on a free fall right now. They're not to me a team that is of the upper echelons like the Patriots and the Broncos, and that'll be proven once again this week in Kansas City. I see Denver winning that game.
So we have agreement. You see them winning and covering that 5.5 point spread. All right, so there you go, folks. Uncle Ben and Handsome Howard agreeing to take the road favorite, the Denver Broncos, lay the 5.5 points in Kansas City. There's another intriguing game, guys, this week. Carolina, the Panthers have been absolutely outstanding lately. Cam Newton has lived up to all the hype that he got in his first year and after he won the Heisman Trophy. The Panthers they really haven't done it offensively, though. I think they've been winning with their defense primarily, but the Panthers have looked very good. They entertained the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week, coming off a big win themselves last week in Detroit. Uncle Ben, who do you like in this game with Carolina being favored by 7.5 points?
7.5 points. The Carolina Panthers are looking really strong. Like you said, they've won 6 or 7 in a row now. They beat the Bucs a few weeks back by 18 points. But interesting, guys, that game was played off a short week for the Bucs. And they were adjusting to dealing with rookie quarterback Mike Glennon. That was his first game back. And they were also without running back Doug Martin in that game. And now they're starting to find their way around the field a little more comfortably with Glennon. They've won 2 games in a row. They actually won on the road a couple of weeks back. I guess it was against Detroit, I believe. And it's a revenge spot for the Panthers. Are coming off 3 straight wins where they sort of went all out and had to play for 60-minute efforts against the Niners and the Patriots. And then, like we said earlier, they won last week against the Dolphins right in the last minute. And I just think this game's going to be a little closer than everybody thinks. And I think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers might shock the world this week and possibly win this game. I just think they're playing a lot better. Their secondary is probably one of the best in the NFL. Greg Schiano, maybe a little bit off the hot seat now. He's got some room to breathe with 2 wins behind him now. And I think this team's playing a lot better now, and they've got something to prove against. Here's a team that's got something to prove. This is a big game for them going in against red-hot Carolina Panthers, and I just think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to be in this game all the way. Plus 7.5. I like the Bucs.
All right, so Ben's taking Tampa plus the 7.5. Do you agree with that, Howard?
Well, as you recall, Carolina has been my team all year. They're the team at the beginning of the season that I said, both them and the Lions, I said were teams that came off seasons last year where I would see some improvement. And I'm going to stick by my guns with Carolina. This is a team that I feel is getting better and better every week. Cam Newton's starting to feel healthier, stronger. He's running the ball well when in trouble. That game last week against Miami, I thought that was their game where they were going to have a little bit of a letdown. I actually liked Miami in that game plus the points. But now they're coming back home. I think Tampa Bay, they pulled off the upset last week. They're not going to do it 2 weeks in a row. I'd like to see the stat of teams that win a game outright as a dog, come back the following week as a dog, what they do. Check that stat for me sometimes, Ben, because that was...
Well, here you go. I can tell you that the Carolina Panthers are a putrid 2-13 against the spread all time, okay? In games at home, avenging an opponent off back-to-back wins, including 0-7 against the spread in their last 7.
Whoa.
Okay, so that stat doesn't bode well for Carolina, but...
All the stats point to the Bucs. And I just think that the public is all over the Carolina Panthers now. They're riding a 6-7 game win streak. Public's players tend to jump on these teams. Tampa Bay's looked horrible most of the season, although, like I said, they're getting it together the last couple of weeks. I like the Bucs plus 7.5.
All right. There's one more game that I know that Howard wants to discuss. It's not exactly a marquee matchup, but Howard likes one of the teams a lot in this game, Cleveland at home, facing the Jacksonville Jaguars. Cleveland is a 7-point favorite. Howard, you're liking Cleveland, I guess.
Well, I liked Cleveland a lot last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they were a huge disappointment in that game. They just never got it going. Pittsburgh manhandled them. And coming back home this week, Jacksonville is still Jacksonville. And, yeah, they beat the Houston Texans last week. They have been playing a little bit better football of late. They've been a little bit more competitive. But I just see this being a spot where Cleveland comes out and has a game where they win a game like 31-10 against a team like Jacksonville. That's the way I feel about this game.
Any thoughts about this game, Ben?
Well, I can't argue with Howard there. Guys, the Jacksonville Jaguars have won 9 games the last 3 years. Off those 9 games, off those 9 victories, they're 0-9 straight up, and they're 0-8-1 against the spread. So I really can't go against Howard on that one. I got to agree with him, although it's not one of my plays. But the Browns, like we said earlier, they looked horrible last week. Okay, you're never as bad as you look. You're never as good as you look. They're going to play better this week. Jacksonville, has played a little better recently, but I'd have to lean with the Brownies at home. Yes, for sure.
All right. So there you go, folks. The best bets of the week from our top broadcasters right here on TalkingSports.tv. Ben liking Buffalo minus the 3 over Atlanta. This game in Toronto. Howard differs and likes Atlanta plus the 3. Our prognosticators agree that the Denver Broncos are a very strong play. They both like them a lot this week. Lay the 5.5 points over the Chiefs in Kansas City. Ben likes the Tampa Bay Bucks quite a bit, plus the 7.5 points against Carolina. Howard differs and sort of likes Carolina minus the 7.5. Howard loves the Cleveland Browns this weekend, minus the 7 over the listless Jacksonville Jaguars, and Ben lends his support to that. Take Cleveland minus the 7 points. Howard, that's it for you for this week here on Talking Sports.tv with Football Picks. We appreciate your participation.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Ben.
Ben.
Enjoy the sunshine while we freeze our you-know-what's off.
Yeah, in Toronto.
Thank you much, and good luck to you this week, Howard.
Thank you very much.
And folks, don't go anywhere because we still have plenty of show left. Uncle Ben will be back with me right after this to offer you his best bets for the NCAA this weekend. Don't go away.